Hey beer tubers, it's Ryan back with another episode of San Diego Beer Vlog. Thanks for joining me once again. It's probably one of the hottest days of the year so far, so I want something cool, something refreshing. So I'm going to take a look at a beer from Germany, and this is I'm not sure quite what the brewery is on this, but this is supposedly an authentic Berliner Weisse, which is a sour German wheat beer. It says on the bottle that it's brewed by Dr. Fritz Briem of the Doemens Institute, probably butchering that pronunciation. But they say it's brewed traditional style, which on the bottle says that from a technical brewing standpoint, they don't boil the wort of the beer. They just hop it in the mash, and then they add in a culture of lactobacillus, which is a souring bacteria, and then they let it age and ferment at really warm temperatures. So it should be interesting to see. I've never had an authentic Berliner Weisse before. I've had a few American examples and really enjoyed them. They're really like low ABV, tart, refreshing beers. So in Germany, it's often tradition to add woodruff or other fruity syrups to the beer to cut some of the tartness. When I had Karl Strauss's Berliner Weisse, I believe they added the raspberry in there. But this one, there's no syrup, so we're just drinking it plain. This one's a little higher, I think, than tradition, which seems to be more around like 3% ABV. This one's actually 5%. And pours just a very hazy straw, like very pale straw color. Almost no head, probably because of the acidity of the beer. Carbonation's pretty decent. Let's get the nose on it. Yeah, it definitely has that lactose smell, although it's not too heavy on the beer. There's some of that sharp wheat notes on there. The lactose sourness on this one tends to be there's some slight funkiness. I doubt they're using Brett. Maybe some Brett got in there, but there's a little bit of funk going on, and then there's like some lemony sort of tartness. And it just smells very light, refreshing beer. So I'm going to dig in. Cheers. Or in this case, Prost. Ooh, that's nice. Very clean, tart. It's not too tart up front. So, I mean, I've definitely had more tart, sour beers than this one. Man, it's really refreshing on this warm day. This is really nice. It actually drinks a little lighter than the 5% would lead you to believe. I know it's a little low for you know, American style beers, but this being European, German, you know, that's probably about their average ABV over there for like a lot of Hefeweizens and lagers. But this drink's definitely light mouthfeel, very crisp, refreshing. I'm drinking this one straight out of the fridge. Most of these beers should be drank pretty cool. Probably no more than 55 degrees. This is probably more like 40, maybe even a little less than 40 right now, but up front, nice tartness, not mouth puckering by any means, but then again, my palate's getting a little more used to sours. Yeah, after that you get some nice, just wheat, almost Hefeweizen-like flavor going on, except it kind of lacks that yeast character, even though they're doing warm fermentations. The yeast strain they're using doesn't really produce a whole lot of like spice esters or anything. There's a little bit of like lemony banana notes in there, but it's nothing like you would find in a Hefeweizen. Actually, if you don't gulp this thing down, you kind of let it sit on your tongue a while, the tartness does build up quite a bit, and I start to notice a little more of that kind of hay like barnyard kind of, just a touch of funk on there. Not overpowering like any kind of like Cantillon beer or those kind of sours, but you get some of that as well. There's not a whole lot to it. I'm going to go ahead and swirl it up and add the yeast in just to see how that does. I mean, it is a wheat beer, and normally I keep the yeast out, but this being a first time trying an authentic one, I figured, well, I got the taste without, let's add it in, see if we get some more, because I mean, there's not a whole lot to the palate on this beer. Maybe the yeast will add in some better characteristics to it. Maybe we'll make it more bitter. The fact that they don't boil the beer is pretty interesting. That all their hops are just used strictly for preservatives. I mean, there's no hop aroma, no hop flavor in this whatsoever. So it's really cloudy now. It's a fairly flocculent yeast. It's clumped pretty good on the bottom, but aroma's pretty much the same. Let's take a taste. There seems to be just a slight bit more mouthfeel. Still light body. Maybe a touch more of like a lemon note in there than there was before. Yeah, maybe it's adds a little more tartness as well, but doesn't change it overall. It's hard for me to grade this since this is the only authentic Berliner Weisse I've ever tried, and as far as I know, it's probably the only one I can get in the States. So I don't have a whole lot to compare to other than the American craft brewers that are producing this style. And plus, some put in the syrups or the woodruff, and some don't. So it's kind of hard to compare that. Like I had Karl Strauss's. They put it in. I do have a bottle that I will review from the brewery, their Hottenroth, which is their Berliner Weisse, and see how it compares to this one. So I mean, for grading wise, I guess I'll just go with the B. It's above average, it's tart, it's highly drinkable, great for these warm days. I do wish there was a bit more tartness up front, just to make it a little more crisper on the palate. But I mean, there's not a whole lot of complexity going on like some of these crazy wild ales and lambics and gooses that are out there. So, but I do enjoy it. It's a nice take on a wheat beer. So I definitely recommend checking out a Berliner Weisse if you can get one. So I'm gonna have to look up some more info to see like what brewery this is exactly. But that's gonna wrap it up for the 1809 Berliner Weisse, part of this historic signature series that this doctor's doing. So glad to see that some people are still holding on to some of these traditional beers like this one, because this is a style I think a lot of Americans would enjoy, those that like the sour beers. I mean, it'd be nice to get creative with this style and not just do the, copy all the Belgian beers, all those sours, which are awesome, but it'd be cool to see some more Berliner Weisses out there, especially at session levels at 3-4%, the 5 of this one being on the higher side. So that's going to wrap it up. Until next time, please comment and subscribe. Cheers.